You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Cloud Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Role-based access control, known as RBAC, is one of the most widely adopted methods for managing user permissions in modern cloud environments. At its core, RBAC assigns access rights based on predefined roles that reflect a user's job function or organizational responsibilities. Rather than granting permissions directly to individuals, permissions are grouped under roles, and users are assigned to those roles. This model supports consistent policy enforcement and greatly simplifies access management. The Cloud Plus certification includes RBAC as a foundational access control model, with several objectives covering its application and importance. The effectiveness of RBAC becomes particularly evident in large or dynamic cloud environments. As user bases grow and organizational complexity increases, managing access on an individual basis becomes inefficient and error-prone. RBAC allows administrators to assign roles that represent functional groupings of permissions, providing a scalable and repeatable structure for access control. Cloud platforms often integrate RBAC into their identity and access management systems, making it a natural and practical fit for cloud operations. Cloud Plus scenarios regularly feature questions requiring the selection or evaluation of roles. The core concept behind RBAC involves a three-part relationship between users, roles, and permissions. Permissions are grouped under roles based on common responsibilities. Users are then assigned roles that grant them those permissions. This model separates the assignment of permissions from the individual, promoting consistency and reducing administrative workload. For Cloud Plus candidates, understanding this chain is essential. Exam questions may present diagrams or access tables that require the user to interpret or troubleshoot the relationship between these three elements. Common roles used in RBAC implementations include administrator, developer, auditor, support specialist, and general user. Each role is designed to reflect a specific scope of responsibilities and is configured with permissions aligned to those functions. For example, a developer role might include deployment permissions but not the ability to modify infrastructure settings. The Cloud Plus exam may ask candidates to assign a role based on a given job description, requiring knowledge of typical role definitions and what permissions they entail. RBAC supports security best practices by promoting the principle of least privilege. Since roles can be narrowly defined, users only receive the permissions they need to perform their assigned tasks. This reduces the likelihood of accidental misuse or deliberate abuse of elevated privileges. When implemented properly, RBAC also simplifies onboarding and offboarding processes. Assigning or removing a role instantly updates a user's access across all linked resources. Cloud Plus emphasizes this efficiency in scenario-based questions. Hierarchical RBAC adds another layer of functionality by allowing roles to inherit permissions from other roles. In this model, a higher-level role, such as manager, might include all the permissions of a user role while also adding reporting or oversight capabilities. This inheritance structure can reduce duplication and make role design more efficient. However, it can also introduce complexity if roles overlap too broadly. Candidates for the certification should be able to recognize when role inheritance simplifies management and when it introduces excessive permission chains. Designing roles known as role engineering is a key part of implementing RBAC effectively. This process involves analyzing business needs, workflows, and security policies to create roles that reflect operational reality. Poor role engineering can lead to unnecessary complexity, or worse, privilege escalation through overlapping or conflicting roles. The exam may include scenarios where roles have been misconfigured, requiring the candidate to suggest corrections based on function, scope, or risk. Role audits are necessary to maintain the integrity of an RBAC system over time. These audits involve reviewing which users are assigned to which roles and ensuring that roles themselves remain accurate and aligned with organizational needs. Without periodic review, roles can accumulate unused or outdated permissions, leading to role bloat. Cloud Plus includes access reviews as part of the secure identity and access management lifecycle, and questions may involve interpreting audit logs or identifying which roles should be modified or retired. Despite its many advantages, RBAC does have limitations. It is inherently static and does not account for contextual factors like time of day, device security posture, or user location. In environments where such context is relevant, RBAC may not provide sufficient flexibility. While it works well for most enterprise needs, candidates should recognize when another model, such as attribute-based access control, may be more appropriate for fine-tuned control. The exam may present a situation requiring adaptive access and test awareness of RBAC's limitations. Attribute-based access control, or ABAC, extends RBAC principles by introducing additional variables into access decisions. ABAC evaluates user attributes such as department, clearance level, or project affiliation to determine access rights. While ABAC is more granular and flexible, it is also more complex to configure and maintain, particularly at scale. Cloud Plus may include comparison questions asking candidates to choose between RBAC and ABAC based on a described environment or business requirement. IAM platforms used in cloud services often include RBAC as a built-in feature. These platforms allow administrators to create groups or roles and link them to permissions at the infrastructure level. Most cloud-native tools include templates or best practice models for RBAC implementation. Understanding how these tools integrate with access policies is critical for the exam. Candidates must be familiar with how roles are created, assigned, and enforced across virtual machines, storage systems, and networking resources. In hybrid and multi-cloud environments, RBAC must be applied consistently across all platforms to avoid security gaps or redundant access management. This requires synchronization of roles across different systems and may involve identity federation or single sign-on. Federation tools can map roles from a central identity provider to permissions in each connected environment. Cloud Plus may test understanding of this mapping and how inconsistent RBAC enforcement can lead to audit failures or access drift. Finally, RBAC promotes operational clarity by establishing access boundaries that are easy to explain and justify. When permissions are grouped logically and consistently under roles, it becomes easier to respond to audit inquiries, demonstrate compliance, and identify misuse. RBAC helps organizations create access systems that are not only secure, but also understandable and maintainable. The certification emphasizes these advantages and includes questions that reinforce the need for clearly defined and documented access policies. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Automation is a powerful complement to RBAC in modern cloud environments. Many organizations now implement automated workflows that assign roles to users during the onboarding process based on attributes such as job title, department, or location. This reduces manual configuration and ensures that users consistently receive only the roles appropriate for their position. For Cloud Plus candidates, it is important to understand how automation helps enforce access policies and minimize human error in access provisioning. Break glass or emergency access accounts are special cases that temporarily bypass standard RBAC policies. These accounts are used during emergencies when normal permissions are insufficient to resolve a critical issue. Because of their power, these accounts must be tightly controlled, auditable, and time-limited. They are often exempt from some controls temporarily, but must be logged and reviewed immediately after use. Cloud Plus may include exam questions about how to manage emergency access within the RBAC framework while preserving security. Conflicting role assignments can result in users receiving unintended access. For example, assigning both a limited user role and a high-privilege admin role to the same individual can create overlap that exceeds intended permissions. RBAC systems must be configured to detect and resolve these conflicts. In most systems, explicit deny permissions override allow permissions to maintain control. On the exam, candidates may need to identify the cause of excessive access and select the correct method for resolving policy conflicts. In many cloud applications, RBAC is implemented at both the infrastructure and application levels. This means that a user may have a role for accessing a cloud platform and separate roles within the applications running on that platform. For instance, within a software as a service application, a user might be assigned a, quote, report viewer or editor role that grants specific in-app permissions. Cloud Plus scenarios may test how RBAC integrates at multiple layers of the cloud stack. Delegated administration allows users with specific roles to manage access or perform administrative tasks within a limited scope. For example, a help desk team member may be allowed to reset passwords or assign user roles in a single application without having system-wide administrative rights. RBAC supports this delegation by defining intermediate roles with carefully scoped permissions. The certification may ask which role should be used to delegate a task without violating least privilege principles. RBAC change management involves documenting, approving, and auditing any modifications to role definitions or user role assignments. Changes must be tracked to ensure that permissions remain aligned with organizational policy and compliance requirements. Untracked changes can lead to privilege escalation or unauthorized access. Cloud Plus may include scenarios where role changes occurred without proper review, requiring candidates to identify missing approval steps or audit controls. Comprehensive documentation is critical for managing RBAC effectively. Each role should have a clear description of its purpose, the permissions it includes, and the business function it supports. Role ownership must also be defined so that accountability is assigned. Without documentation, it becomes difficult to determine whether a role is still valid or who is responsible for maintaining it. Exam questions may reference undocumented roles and ask about associated risks or compliance gaps. RBAC's strength lies in its balance of security and manageability. By grouping permissions into roles, organizations can enforce policy consistently and respond quickly to changes in staffing or business operations. As new systems are added, roles can be extended or duplicated, reducing the effort required to configure access for new environments. The exam may include questions about how RBAC supports growth and change without compromising control. In federated environments where identity is managed centrally and extended across cloud platforms, RBAC must operate in conjunction with identity federation. Roles defined in an identity provider must map correctly to roles in each connected cloud service. If mappings are misaligned, users may receive insufficient or excessive access. Candidates for the certification must understand how to maintain consistent role behavior across federated platforms, ensuring reliable access control regardless of where the role is applied. RBAC can also improve audit readiness. Because access decisions are made based on predefined roles, it becomes easier to show auditors why a user has a given set of permissions. Audit logs can reference role assignments instead of individual permissions, simplifying the process of demonstrating compliance. The Cloud Plus exam may present an audit scenario and ask what documentation or logs would be used to verify appropriate access levels for a specific user. Scalability is another advantage of RBAC, particularly in cloud environments with thousands of users and rapidly changing workloads. Once roles are defined and tested, they can be applied repeatedly across new projects, teams, or environments. This reduces setup time and improves consistency. RBAC roles can also be versioned and refined as organizational needs evolve. The exam may test knowledge of how RBAC supports agile operations while maintaining strong access controls. While RBAC is robust, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. In some cases, it may need to be supplemented by other models such as attribute-based or rule-based access controls. Cloud Plus may test how to layer RBAC with contextual controls, such as conditional access policies that restrict login based on device or time of day. Candidates should understand how RBAC fits within a broader security architecture and when additional models are needed. In conclusion, role-based access control is one of the most essential tools for managing cloud access securely and efficiently. When roles are carefully engineered, consistently enforced, and periodically reviewed, RBAC supports both operational needs and security objectives. The Cloud Plus certification reinforces these principles through scenario-driven questions that test a candidate's ability to design, implement, and troubleshoot role-based access models across single and multi-cloud environments. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.